Okay, guys, hello and welcome back to Relevant Founders, brought to you by Relevant Software. Relevant is an international software development company that designs, builds, and delivers world-class standard products for Fortune 500 companies and promising startups. Today with us, guys, we've got Nicole and Jessica from 55th Degree. Hello, guys. How are you doing?
Wonderful.
Good. How are you?
Good. Nice. Well, actually, really bad weather here today. It was really nice earlier, and now it's gone nice and rainy. But I'm in Ukraine, and it feels nice for me because I'm actually from London, so I'm used to the weather completely. Guys, let's get to know you guys a little bit better before we go in and kind of just dive straight into 55th Degree and what you're doing there. So, Jessica, let's start with you. Tell me, what have you been doing? Tell me about your journey behind 55th Degree.
Let's start about 10 years ago. I started the 55th Degree the first time to work on an application. I got in a motorcycle accident, did not work out at that point in time. I was working 4 different jobs. One of them was Home Depot. That accident pushed me back into Home Depot, where I worked in customer service for 25 years. I've worked on numerous projects with corporate office on trying to improve the logistics or freight flow of the company. I have recently started the 55th Degree again in 2019 to start another project. That project got halted because of COVID. And on December 3rd of this year, a new idea came to my head. And the next day, I talked to my best friend, co-founder, Nicole. And I think lightning in a bottle went straight through the phone over to her. And we started running with this idea.
Nice.
And
really nice, really interesting. We're going to get into the idea and we're going to get into where it came from in a minute, because I'm really interested to hear, obviously, the difference from 10 years ago to where we are now. Okay, nice. Good to hear from you, Jessica. And Nicole, what about you? Tell me a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I come from a performing arts background. I was a professional ballet dancer for a number of years before I transitioned and went to law school. And I was in the legal field and corporate. Yeah, a little bit. And I was in corporate sales for about 5 years before, like Jessica said, last year, she called me with this idea and decided that the startup and financial technology field was something that I was interested in and could really help her get this project off the ground.
Nice. Tell me, let's start there. Nicole, tell me, why did the financial kind of tech industry really, where did you get that interest from? When Jessica came to you with this idea, what made you think, this is going to work?
Yeah, I saw definitely a lot of growth in that industry. I see that we're just at the forefront of financial technology, and there's so many things that you can do with it, whether it's DeFi, crypto, blockchain technology, or traditional financial technology. People want it in their hands, they want it now, and they want it safe and secure. So I saw a really big industry still left to grow. So I wanted to make our mark in that industry.
Nice. We're going to go into this in a second, and I want to hear more about how your background as lawyer, educated, and also ballet sporting is helping you obviously achieve what you're doing here. But before we do, Jessica, tell me more about 55th Degree.
wow, that is something that I'm actually in the present writing a speech for to describe the 55th Degree. It is a technique or a philosophy that I look at. It is based on some interesting things. I don't think I have enough time to describe them. I do like the easiest way to describe the idea is a steep angle. And we are trying to climb the mountain, if you want to say. to financial freedom, because it's up to the top. And the application that Nicole and I have come up with, which is Fisk, will help people climb that mountain to get to financial freedom.
So the idea came to you, I think you said December the 3rd, yeah, last year. How did it come to you? Where were you? What happened, which made you think, there's a business here?
This was Thursday. I worked at Home Depot at the time. I was in the paint department by myself. The second associate hadn't come in that day. There was a long line. I love working and helping people accomplish their projects. They always have different ideas, and they do need to be corrected to make sure they've got the right products. They know the right techniques, how to do things. That day, I had a line probably 6 or 7 people deep. I came across one of our contractors that comes in and had offered him some suggestions on how to input some of his information into our computer. And he was a little puzzled with all the questions that I was asking. And he walked around to the front of the counter. And then I went on to the next person, because I would be able to keep 3 customers flowing at one time. He came up to me a couple minutes later and he goes, "Look, I've been shopping here at Home Depot for over 5 years. And I want to know why I'm hearing stuff that's coming out of your mouth for the first time." And I said, I'm a 25-year vet here at the Depot. I do care about my customers, but I want to make sure that you come into the store, get your product, and get out and you're happy. And he was impressed and heard me telling the customers behind him. And at that point in time, I knew that he wanted to give me some gratuity. That is what Fisk, our application that is coming out, is based upon. But Home Depot and a lot of other companies do not allow cash gratuity. It is frowned upon. And that is where the idea came up to create Fisk, which is a little bit different. And Nicole and I can describe that in further detail.
Absolutely. We're going to get into this in a second, because there's so much to jump into, because I know we have a great cooperation on building Fisk together as well. But before we do, tell me, why 55th degree?
To me, it means balance. I have studied a lot of things in my life. I've been a massage therapist. And being a massage therapist, you're introduced to a lot of different modalities and CEUs over the years. A lot of it has to do with meditation and looking forward and looking back and trying to blur them together in the present in order to make a product. I try to balance myself as much as possible. I do know quite a bit about different energy fields that I studied when I was a massage therapist. It is very interesting that a lot of the things that I read talk about that when you're in a business or in a startup, you need to learn how to focus your energy on one thing instead of multiple things, so you are getting them accomplished. I believe I was listening to a different show that I am possibly going to be on, and some of their small training is on meditation and how to focus your energy and be balanced. And that is basically the 55th degree, half and half. You have half in life you can control, the other half is not controllable, but you have to balance it all out.
Absolutely. Life is completely about balance, and something that's very difficult to find when building a startup. I can imagine. Yeah, lots of time that has to go into it, and very difficult to find that work-life balance, which we will get onto a little bit later. But okay, let's go straight into Fisk. Yeah, let's find out a little bit more about Fisk. You are yet to launch your MVP, so some exciting times about to come about. Tell me a little bit more about Fisk. Nicole, let's start with you. Tell me a little bit more, and where kind of this cooperation came with Relevant from.
Yeah, so I was sort of at the helm and in charge of picking our software company. So as you can imagine, that is a really stressful situation for a startup or for, for any corporation, whether they have existing applications or not. So when I was deciding on a company, I wanted to prioritize cybersecurity and wanted to prioritize seasoned programmers and people who I knew could get the job done. So after a lot of Google searches and a lot of interviews and contacts, I landed upon Relevant Software. We were definitely nervous with the team being based out of Ukraine, with everything going on in Ukraine. But I was assured from a lot of other people who were using Relevant and using other software companies in Ukraine that the biggest concern for the Ukrainians was to continue working and continue living life as normal as they could. And that really assured Jessica and I both that we were going to have a successful team, and we did. But Fisk is actually a is a word in Norwegian meaning fish, because at the beginning of our discovery journey, it was called Little Fish Mobile, because we were trying, I don't know if you have this term of art in London or Ukraine, being a little fish in a big pond.
Yes.
But we were looking to service the little fish, the people that maybe are underbanked or overlooked by investment companies or any traditional financial products. So it was quite a mouthful: Little Fish Mobile, Little Fish, Big Pond Investments.
Mhm.
So we hired a couple freelancers from Norway, graphics and marketing team, and they were calling it Liten Fisk, and we heard Fisk, and I called Jessica one night and I said, "What about just Fisk?" And she said, "I love it." And from then it was Fisk, and we like to say that it represents financial information, security, and knowledge.
Nice.
But really it's a direct translation from fish.
Interesting there. It's we're going to get a little bit more into what all about Fisk in a second, but obviously what you've both been speaking about, and Jessica, your story as well, when working, and they wanted to show you some kind of gratitude. It is something which you find so often, where you're scrambling around in your pockets thinking, "Wait, I haven't got any cash to give this person. How am I going to do this? I need an easier way." Let's start right from the beginning. How did the original MVP look? Tell me this one. Who wants to go?
Nicole, you want me to take this? I like to, when Nicole and I were first talking, I would put stuff out there, and Nicole, with her legal background, would say, "No, we can't do that." And I would put something else out there, and she would say, "We can do that, but we can't do that." And the MVP got to a spot, and we had to take a little bit step back, pivot. And believe it or not, the MVP looks very close to the original idea. It is almost scary how we went away from that original concept and were pushed back into it. I'm actually pleased that it did, because we will get statistics when the MVP comes out that we would not have gotten if we would have went with the second phase of the application that will be out hopefully very soon.
Nice. Okay. Tell me a little bit there, Nicole. Tell me, with regards to building the MVP, were there many pivots? And how did you cope with the pivots, if there were?
Yeah, I am one, as Jessica is more the visionary. I'm one to stay on a course. So when pivots were happening, it was, it was my job to make sure that we're staying on the course. So there were definitely pivots on a weekly, if not daily basis. We went in, when we first hired Relevant, thinking that we were finished with our discovery phase, but we were very wrong. Once we started talking with business analysts and the project manager, we realized that we still needed another month to a month and a half of discovery. And in that time, like Jessica said, we kind of pivoted back to almost what it looked like at the start of the idea. So it was definitely interesting working with seasoned project managers and business analysts that were able to look at our original idea and look at all of our pivots and be able to consolidate them into a functioning MVP within our budget and within our timeline.
And quite amazing that you were able to have so many pivots, but also return back to where you wanted to be right at the beginning. Tell me, in regards to a little bit more about outsourcing, obviously you mentioned with obviously the war which is going on in Ukraine, it was one of the points which make people think a little bit harder, obviously, with outsourcing to Ukraine at the moment. What else what did you notice within Ukrainians, working with Ukrainians? What did you notice which maybe you wouldn't have got in the States, or maybe you wouldn't have got somewhere else? Have you noticed something different from Ukrainian engineers?
Yeah, Ukrainian engineers and the entire team were quick to tell us we can't do that. Or and it's a little bit startling for an American to hear, because in the States, we are all about, no matter what it is, we'll do it, we'll find a way to do it. And then maybe later on figure out we can't do that. So it was shocking at first, but it definitely added to our success to work with Ukrainian engineers and say, I'm not sure we can do that, but let's figure out how we can do something close to that. So now I only tend to work with individuals who will not overpromise a goal and be able to clearly define what they can do before they are just quick to tell us what we want to hear. I also realize Ukrainians are the hardest working people I've met. I look at the time difference sometimes, and I'll tell Jessica, it looks like our project manager was adding comments to our Slack or Figma channel at 4 a.m. his time. What is he doing? So it's not, Ukrainians are definitely not working bankers hours, and they work until the job is done.
Tell me, Jessica, going from an industry, not tech industry in the past, into the tech world, what kind of challenges have you faced doing this? What have you learned from doing this?
I got this question from one of your employees that was asking for a review a few months back. Being in the industry, big box industry at Home Depot, where we build things constantly, where we can sell every part of a house, people would come up to me when I would tell them that I was learning or basically building an application, and they go, "Oh, you write code?" I'm like, "No, I don't write code. I don't do any code." And they go, "Well, how are you doing that?" I'm like, "Well, look, if you're going to build a house, are you going to go learn how to build a house? No, you're going to hire an architect, they're going to hire a builder, and then they're going to hand you a house." And that's the exact way I look at it. Nicole and I were in our discovery phase. We reached out to Relevant, and they built what we wanted, and it's almost complete, and it's the same process. I was fascinated. It parallels. It's amazing. And we're going to have a complete project, and I look forward to adding on to Fisk and other projects that we have shelved, because Nicole and I are very creative at times, and we do look at working with Relevant for quite a while.
Guys, I want to get on to basically how your partnership works here, because it seems like you've got the creative and you've got the kind of the mindset of one of you's yes and the other's hang on a second, let's think about how this can work. And this is really interesting to figure out how this does work, but let's get on to that in a second. Tell me, a little bit more about why did you choose the process of outsourcing instead of hiring a team in-house? Why did you go for more outsourcing, Nicole?
Definitely cost was at the leading decision of that. But we realized when we had an outsourced team that we were able to focus more on creative and especially in a startup phase, more of the structure of the company, and to make sure that we were setting us up to have an in-house team 1 or 2 years later down the road. So outsourcing the development side was really able to free us and have the ability to continue to scale up on the home front.
Right, let's get on to your partnership then, and I want you to tell me how it works. How are you balancing each other out in this this challenge, which is very new for both of you? How are you making this work? And you're both in different locations now. Are you always in different locations, or do you have an office which you meet at a lot? How does it work?
Well, Nicole and I have a very unique relationship. We've been best friends for almost 5 years now. Even before we were in the planning phase of Fisk, we were always talking business, and we would talk on the phone constantly, believe it or not. For some reason, you find those people in life that you could pick up the phone and talk to them 10 times a day and carry on conversations. We would talk about different things. Nicole is very creative, and so am I. We do balance each other out. It's very it's hard to explain. We work really well together. There's times where, believe it or not, we do have some arguments. You have to. There's no way about it. She is her personality is very strong, and at times mine is also, where you will clash. But you have to learn that we are in a learning process, and all the way through life, you're learning. There, right when you jump out of college, you think I know everything. No, you don't.
Absolutely.
You're learning all the way to the end. And I'm glad that Nicole is by my side. I always call her the ace in my sleeve. So I am very happy to be working alongside Nicole.
Yeah, and Matthew, to answer your question, we do have an office that Jessica and I meet at, and some of our marketing and administrative personnel work out of. But we try and plan at least a month, once a month, to meet and be able to at least have lunch together. But Jessica and I meet through video chat daily. We have a morning and afternoon meeting. And the rest is yelling at each other on the phone during the day. So, like she said, with any founders, if you know going into it that you will have friction and disagree at times, it definitely leads to success. Because if you go into it thinking that you're going to remain in a friend capacity and not be able to separate that from work, it's not going to lend itself to success. It's almost like when a call is coming in, if it's during business hours or it's after an investor meeting or maybe after this podcast, we know we're talking business. So we know we're not friends at that time, we're partners. But maybe if it's on the weekend and maybe a football game is happening, we're friends then, and we're talking friend stuff. So
nice. It must
both have. Oh, excuse me.
No, tell me.
Well, no, both of us went to arch rival colleges. So on one day out of the year, we don't talk. But we have an agreement that the other side, the team that does win, does not say anything to the person that loses. But we are also, we follow one team in Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers. Then that's where we get to root on the team on Sunday. So it's a little interesting.
So this is your mutual team, yeah? The one that you
Yes.
can
Yeah.
improve on. Nice. Okay, cool. I want to know a little bit more, Nicole, about your past and how you've been able to use ballet, sporting, and the legal sphere to help you doing what you're doing now. How have you transferred those skills into the tech world?
Yeah, I think ballet can lend itself to success in a number of different industries because you take a heavy disciplined
Mm,
art or sport like ballet, and whatever you're doing, you're able to transfer that discipline to that industry. And then with the legal side, it's less creative, obviously, than the ballet side. So there's definitely a balance there between the dance arts and the legal knowledge that I have that I'm able
mm.
to kind of incorporate into financial technology.
And did you feel that you had to learn a lot before you moved into the tech industry? How did you make that kind of transition into the tech industry? Was it kind of self-study and was it just trial and error?
Yeah, I think that if I went into it knowing what I know now, I would have never made the jump into it. So I think just because I'm one of those people that thinks that I can learn something in a week, and the technology industry and the financial technology industry is not something that you can
Mhm.
grasp in a week.
Mhm.
So I'm definitely a proponent of jumping into the deep end and just learning as you go. But I did not know everything that would come about uh, that I do know now. So I think that it's sort of the getting your feet wet and actually start doing it is what you need to do to if you've never been in an industry before, especially financial technology.
Absolutely, absolutely. Jessica, tell me for you as well, how we've kind of touched upon the jump, but what has been the most surprising thing for you, the most difficult moment for you within this jump?
Uh, Trying to, well, everything was a little bit different in the beginning because I was working at Home Depot. Nicole had her business background and was able to instantly jump full time, where I was still working for Home Depot. Would get off work, take care of the dog, and then start working with Nicole until dark.
Oh,
When I left Home Depot, um, we didn't have to write emails inside that business. Jumping over into writing emails daily and in Zoom meetings. I had never done a Zoom meeting. I didn't know if I needed somebody, I would just walk into on the other side of the store and talk to them. It is a big difference, but it's not that difficult to make the transition if you're focused on it and there is a purpose behind everything that you're doing. Nicole likes to push me, and I thank her every day. Sometimes I have to tell her to stop pushing me, but if it wasn't for her, with the style that she has, I don't think that I would be where I'm at today. With all the upgrades that we've done, the different programs that we're using, I had never used a Slack before.
mhm.
It's a phenomenal program. It's a great great tool to use. Quite a different pieces of software that we use daily are something that I would never have used at Home Depot. So I'm glad that I've learned everything that I have so far, and I know it's going to improve my life for years to come.
You know, Jessica, there's going to be so many people doing this in the future, knowing that tech is the future. And there's going to be so many people that come without that educational background and with that amazing idea, and they're going to have to take the same plunge as you guys did. What would be your, let's say, 3 tips to help them adapt and learn as quick as possible?
See the vision, focus as much as possible on the vision. You can, I don't like to say everything how I create or manifest what we're doing, but you have to be focused. You have to see it. You have to get the right people around you. It is your team. And to make sure that you can raise the right capital. It's all about capital. You can have a great idea and a good team, but if you don't have capital, you're not going anywhere. And that has been one of the most exciting things about this job is raising the capital. It is a challenge every day, during whatever round you're in. I do like waking up every day knowing that I am going to talk to somebody new and let them in on what Nicole and I are building. Some people cannot see it, others can, and it's just to remain focused on the vision and to continue forward every day.
How do you allow that not to get you down? If some people can't see it, obviously, that's quite hard when it's something that you put so much time and passion towards.
Doubt creeps in. You have to fight doubt all the time. There's times where I will call Nicole and she will jump on me going, "What are you talking about?" And I asked her, I said, "Look, I need you to pump me back up." We all get drained of energy. There's people out there that will suck your energy dry. And if you're not balanced, you haven't taken care of yourself, you haven't eaten properly, it'll throw you off. And it's just maintaining that center spot.
What has been the most challenging tech challenge you have had so far, and what happened? Nicole, maybe.
Yeah, I would think managing banking relationships was the biggest challenge for me, definitely as an operating officer and not having a financial technology background. It seemed the banks or any sort of financial programs first question was, how many years of banking relationship experience do you have? So to put a zero down every time was difficult for me, just to see, coming from 10 years of corporate sales experience and performing arts experience, where something that I knew so well, to tell someone, I don't know anything about this, but you can trust me, or you can trust that I'll figure out how to do it.
How did you do that?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps having a law degree in the financial technology industry to be able to say, I don't know financial technology, but I do know this. And both of these things work really well together. So having professional experience in the law definitely at least ease some of the concerns from banks and programs to understand that, okay, these founders don't have any banking experience, but they do have a lot of other cross-functional experiences,
which you can kind of utilize, I guess, at that point. And I mean, business is business at the end of the day, isn't it? Business is business. It works the same. It's just got to understand a different book. Let's talk more about your team now. You mentioned your team, really important to have a good team around you. What number are you sitting at the moment, and how did you go about finding your team?
I think other than our relevant team, we're at about 5, and those are web designers. We have a full-time graphics designer, and a marketing consultant, and Jessica, myself, and we just brought on a CFO and a CMO. So I guess we're at about 7. And to prioritize your team, I think is crucial in the beginning. A lot of people will say start from the top and work yourself down. So make sure you have executives first, then project managers, and work it down until you have your office administrators or assistants. We were kind of all over the place at first. We definitely, being in an app in financial technology industry, we wanted our product not only to work well, but also to look cool and to look appealing. So I told Jessica that we really need to prioritize graphics, and we found an awesome graphics designer that we work with just as much as we do our executives, because you really need to prioritize what's important with your product, and the way that it looks and feels is more than just development and functionality. It's, overall aesthetics. So we definitely prioritize that position.
Absolutely. I guess there's no kind of blueprint to starting a startup, and that is what makes it so amazing, is because difficult, but also it's yours to choose. It's your path to take, and there's no correct, there's no right, there's no wrong. Tell me a little bit about here. So you've got the launch coming very, very soon. Tell me when the launch is coming, and what do you foresee as the next challenges after the launch? Because, okay, one done, but now on to the next stage. Jessica.
The launch, we are planning on October 15th. In Orlando, Florida, we do have a festival going on downtown Orlando, and I look at using that large crowd in order to gather as many people and get as many users as we can. We have discussed a few different options. Tomorrow, we do have a meeting to set down our game plan for the next 6 months. And we have ideas that come up rather quickly, because the way the system is designed, or Fisk is designed, it's a little bit different than most applications out there. And in order to create a kind of ecosystem, or the way you feel with the application and the users, we need to start slow and start ramping up faster and faster. We need to make sure that we have it flowing the way we want it to flow, let all the users know exactly where we're going, and to have them excited about the next phases that are coming out. We see the roadmap. We don't tell everybody the roadmap at all, that's for sure. But they do know where the app is headed, and I'm super excited about every phase that we're going to have. But the first phase, October 15th, I am so excited to show people. At the end of the month, we start our beta testing, and we're already getting people in on the beta testing, collecting names. They're excited. It's a great time right now. We have 64 days, basically.
Wow. It's going to be really, really interesting. I mean, all of that time and effort you put into it. I mean, and it's obviously, as you said, your second time wanting to build 55th Degree as well. So it's such a milestone to hit, but work does not stop there. Absolutely. No. Tell me, okay, let's look more towards the future. So then after this, Nicole, what do you want to be the future path over the next year? After you've done the launch in October, what would be the ideal future path for you, for Fisk?
Yeah, so we definitely want to have the most successful launch as we can. So I think those hurdles with marketing and advertising will be our biggest challenges, just to make sure that the application gets in front of as many eyes as we can. But the next year, obviously, to remain as operational and continue scaling up our team. And I think, yeah, just solidifying our team in office and bringing in our executives and bringing in a project manager to help develop updates and anything that we see development wise that we're not able to to figure out ourselves.
I mean, it's going to be a very difficult period, I guess, because it's as we said, with no blueprint, no kind of set rules of how you're actually going to do it. It's going to be difficult to develop it. Tell me. Obviously, you're going to have to be on your toes. You're going to have to be ready for all the future trends happening in the tech world. But I guess you've got your eyes open more than others because you've come into it. So you're really still, you know, like what did they say? Like a rabbit in headlights, yeah, where you're trying to, you see everything going on. What do you think the future trends are going to be? What do you foresee for these future trends in fintech?
Yeah, I think that saying that DeFi and crypto is going to be a trend would be cliche, but I really do think that decentralized finance and putting the ability for people to control their own finances in their hands is going to be the trend. So whether that looks like crypto, or whether that looks like stable coins, or whether that looks like just the ability for an application to handle every account that you own and every account that your family owns in your hand, and never having to walk in and deal with anyone in a suit is obviously the future. So, you know, we look at our app as something that can handle all of those problems and continue to build security for not just customer service people, but anyone looking for ease of access and a simple way to create security.
Jessica, what about you?
Next year, it's all about the polishing of the product, making sure that everything is going as smooth as possible, knowing our next steps, the trends that we will see come out in front of us are definitely going to, we hope that we set a trend and people look at us and go, how did they come up with that idea and why didn't we think of that? Nicole and I do have other things up our sleeve. We have creative days that when we get together, we know that the energy flows, and next year is going to be phenomenal looking at what other people do and how people react to our product. But we see our product going in one direction, and that is up. We look forward to helping all the new customers, making them satisfied and making our investors satisfied.
Jessica, tell me that, do you have a competitor? Do you see many competitors doing what you're doing?
Exactly what we're doing? No, but there are a lot of people out there that are doing things very similar. Nicole and I just put our spin on it, and it is I believe it's a beautiful product. People have, when we explain it, I love explaining, I love talking about the product. They tell me, I would have never have thought about that. So that makes me excited that Nicole and I are on to something that is completely new. I like doing things new. I don't think it's all about trying something new and making something new. They say nothing's new under the sun. That's not true. Everything is, we are all watching each other and then taking, oh, that piece works with this piece, let's put those together, and it's a completely new product. I'm fascinated every day with what Nicole and I can do.
You know, I mean, after you guys break the States, I want you to come and do it over in Ukraine, because I face this problem quite a lot when I haven't got cash in my pocket. And being a foreigner in Ukraine, it's not so easy for me to give them money over and basically send my bank details to theirs, basically. And I think there's that level of trust as well when you have to give someone else your bank details. So yeah, come and do it over in Ukraine once you break the States. Last question for you guys. We kind of touched upon it, but what do you know now which you didn't know when you started this, and how is it helping you make 50/50 career success?
I think I think knowing the process and accurate timelines of accomplishing software, or anytime you're looking to pivot, knowing what goes into that is really going to help us narrow down when we are going to pivot and when we are going to update in the future. I remember telling Jessica just after we had finished our own discovery, yeah, we'll have this product launched in 3 or 4 months. And I didn't realize everything that goes into not just development, but pre-development and storyboarding, and being able to put all of your discovery ideas into something that can be accomplished. So I think knowing what goes into creating an accurate timeline will really help us figure out when we do update and pivot how we're going to do that.
I can imagine how difficult it is, especially when you're so excited, when you've got something, you know what you want, and you just can't get it out as quick as you need. Jessica, what about you?
I've learned a lot about myself in the past 8 months. I know pretty much all my flaws. I know I'm not perfect. I do go out daily and try to improve myself. I have joined different clubs in order to prove my speaking in front of large crowds. Nicole and I came up with the concept that you need to read a new book if you are in the company at least, what was it, 2 weeks, Nicole? And right now I'm averaging I think a book every 6 days. It's either on finance, saving money, looking at the people that have been successful and helping other people create a financial safety net. Their ideas are very similar to ours, but we have a different tool that we are going to use and help a lot of people.
And do you see it helping you when you're reading these books? Are you able to apply that knowledge to what you're doing?
Yes. Nicole and I, she knew I didn't read as much as I should have before, and Nicole
didn't read anything.
Nicole opened it up a can of worms, and now she's like, you need to stop reading sometimes. You've got too much information. Yes, it definitely helps. Everything that you learn through the reading, I like listening to the audio books. It's faster. I can do 2 things at once. If I'm either on my morning walk, I can be listening for an hour. And it does help. There are other people out there that are successful, like I said, that are telling me the same things that I'm hearing in another book. Nicole and I, we followed the book called The Lean Startup. Always day one, always be creating, never stop creating. And we use those daily in order to keep ourselves going, see things beyond where we're at just today. Today's going to be new, yesterday, tomorrow. So when we get a few months down the road, I'm always excited to see how far Nicole and I can come or go in a short amount of time. We push each other hard daily, and I think we're going to be very successful.
Guys, it's been so amazing to speak to you, and it's been even better to know that we're a part of your journey, and that we're going to help you and keep on pushing forwards. And all of this is going to be amazing with your launch coming very, 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 very soon. So some exciting times ahead. Thank you guys for joining me today.
Hey guys, it's me again. If you enjoyed this episode of the show, be sure to press the thumbs up button below. And also, whilst you're there, hit subscribe. Otherwise, you could miss out on all of our interesting content we've got coming your way in the near future. Okay, guys, take care and see you soon.